Hello, hello, my name is Jenny, and this is Reality TV Breakdown. Today we are talking Seeking Sister Wives, Episode 12, Seeking Common Ground. These titles are becoming ridiculous. Let's talk about it. Okay, all of you have said you like the new format where I go family by family, so let's go ahead and start with the Merrifields. Odd, usually we end with them. But they were the first family that was featured today, and we didn't hear from them last week. So they're back from Colorado, and they're in the airport. And I don't know if they meant to do this, but of course I'm thinking, oh, they just arrived back, and that's why they're in the airport. No, they have been back for months. They're in the airport to pick up their new potential sister wife.
Say what?
From Michigan. Somebody in the United States of America.
Shut up!
All right, let's talk about her a little bit. Her name is Miriam. She has a 2-year-old child. I believe it's a daughter. And Miriam is somewhat familiar with polygamy because her mother had a sister wife. So that is more connection than we've seen probably in this whole show. So I'm thinking, all right. She is also Muslim, and we learned from the Salahudins that in Muslim there are people who still take sister wives. Okay, so she arrives at the airport. And how would I describe her? She's kind of a combination of Natalia and Roberta. I mean, does Garrick have a type? Long, dark hair, beautiful brown skin. His type is the opposite of his wife. This is kind of like the Ryans. The Ryans are in the same situation now that I think about it. Okay, moving on. That was just a light bulb moment for me there for a second. Now, apparently, in terms of bringing on another sister wife, because we still are not working through the Natalia thing, they now have to wait on the K-1 visa to get her to the United States. Fantastic. Press pause. Sometimes the government can do us good. I'll have to remind myself of this. All right, so while that's on halt because the government refuses to allow her a marriage down in her country, and we're waiting for the K-1 visa, which has a waiting period of many months, maybe 6 months, maybe longer, they're moving ahead because Garrick's plan is 5 wives, right? That's what God showed him.
Right.
Now, they say that, of course, it would be lovely if Natalia was there to meet her as well. However, Natalia's not excited about the fact they're looking for another sister wife. She knows he was planning on having 5. She made a comment about it. It was kind of a sassy comment in the past. She was like, if you can't handle the conflict between the two of us, how are you going to handle 5 wives? Do you remember that? Back in Brazil? So she knows he has a 5-wife plan, or the vision that God gave him.
But my husband says God told him to do it.
That was sassy, I'm sorry.
But it was totally justified.
But Natalia has said to the Merrifields, not interested in hearing anything about it. She said, Danny, you go ahead, look into it, figure it all out. If it becomes something, then at that point I'll be interested. But I'm not interested in this process of you seeking out this sister wife. Does history repeat itself? Is Danny just conniving and brilliant? Let's think back. Things were great with Roberta until Danny started pursuing another sister wife back in the States. And that's when the house of cards started tumbling down.
Roberta was not happy about that.
Para serem amigos, eles não precisariam ter tido encontro sozinhos, concorda?
They didn't have to get intimate, have a date.
No, there was no intimacy.
Oh, yeah. No kisses, friends.
Do you think that maybe Danny's trying to do the same thing again? Okay, well, I mean, Danny doesn't really like Natalia. Let's face it, not a big fan. She kind of was sticking it to her in Brazil about the whole baby thing. She was loving the fact that Natalia wasn't happy about it. Danny's upset that Natalia isn't reaching out to her. She isn't being a very good sister wife in terms of communication. She's not sharing much with her. And Danny doesn't like it. So this might be Danny's next best step. Her first one may have been the pregnancy. I don't know. Seems like it was a miracle child. There may have been some divine intervention on that one. Just to kind of put Garrick back in line. Isn't it amazing? Garrick never heard that he was going to have another child. But he knows exactly how many wives he's supposed to have. God told him that. God never told him, and by the way, your barren wife of 14 years is going to have a child as well. I mean, it sounds like a biblical story if you think about it. He not only didn't hear God say it, he seemed shocked and not so thrilled. I'm sure he's embraced it and loves it now. They go on to say that this Miriam reached out to Danny to join their family. She basically slid into her DMs and said, hey, I'll be a sister wife. I thought with her mother being a sister wife, this might be a great solution for this family. I mean, the best solution is no additional sister wife. Can we all agree? But if they're moving forward with it, because Garrick is determined he is following God's will, then okay. At least it's somebody who understands polygamy, who would understand the jealousies of it, blah, 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 blah. But they didn't find each other on a polygamy dating site. In fact, they started giving up on the polygamy dating sites and they went to just general dating sites. They didn't even find her on a dating site. This girl watched the show and slid into Danny's DMs. Thirsty. That's it. Mark my words. This isn't going to work out. As soon as that happened, I thought, how dumb can they be? This is somebody who clearly wants more Instagram followers, who wants to be an influencer. She wants to make money by making videos. Pot calling kettle black. Okay. I'm not making, just to be clear, I'm not making anything like an influencer. This is pocket change. Okay. So they meet in the airport. What does Danny say? Does anyone remember what is the first thing Danny said when she met Natalia? And the first thing Danny said when she met Roberta? Do you remember? He's so small. She is obsessed with the size of these girls.
She's here.
That's her. She's in the glass. That's her.
Now, Danny is very skinny. She is a skinny lady. I would call her small too. What these girls are that's different from Danny, because Danny's thinner than they are. I don't think by small she means like petite this way. I think she means petite this way. She's so small. And as I'm watching the show, I'm realizing, okay, this is what her hang up is. It's not just about size and being petite and cute and skinny. I think Danny's caught up on the fact that she's like the same height as Garrick. Maybe taller. She's always wearing flats. She's always looking him eye to eye. I think it bothers her. Unfortunately, it bothers her that she is her height as opposed to it bothering her that Garrick is so short. Tell me what you think about that. It just dawned on me this episode because that she's so tiny, she's so small, she's so petite. I think what she's saying is she's so short. Dang. It's the one thing Danny can't do anything about. And if we have superficial jealousies of each other, what are the things we're usually most jealous of? The things that somebody else has that we don't have, that we can't control and get. I wish I had brown eyes. I wish I had blue eyes. I wish I was taller. I wish I was shorter. I wish I had a fast metabolism. People with curly hair wish they had straight hair. People with straight hair wish they had curly hair. It's just, human nature, right? I think it's the grass is always greener philosophy in life. You kind of want what you don't have. Let's all agree that starting today, we are just going to embrace ourselves and appreciate the way God made us. It's a little lesson for myself, too.
She's tiny. We call her the tiny wife. Danielle's the large wife. So it's nice and comforting for her to rest her head on my shoulder.
He's disgusting.
It really is disgusting.
Big.
So they get to the house. We see Danielle's father. We know the mother and father live there. They enter the house and kind of showing, what's her name? I'm so bad with names. Oh my goodness. I've been bad with names ever since I was in high school. It's just not a gift of mine. What's this chick's name? Oh, Miriam. It's a hard one to remember because she doesn't look like a Miriam. When I think of Miriams, I think of people who are in their 70s and 80s. Miriam. Okay. Old names brought back again. Everything is cyclical. Moving on. Okay. So as they're giving the tour around the house, they get to Garrick's room. I forgot when they built this house, the way they built it is there's like the women's quarters with like 2 twin beds, and there's another bedroom that has a couple twin beds in it. And of course, the boys have their twin beds as well. And then there's a master bed in Garrick's room. I want to know where everyone's sleeping right now. Where does Danielle sleep now? Obviously, she's with her husband, right? So are they in the master, his master? And can I just say, one of the things that has changed in terms of political correctness is that we no longer call master bedrooms. If indeed it was called the master bedroom because it was the master of the house and then there was the servants below, I get it. So that's why we're getting rid of master. It's now called the primary. All right, this has been a long time that it's been called the primary. And let me just point out, Garrick is in building construction. He built that house. His company is a construction building company for homes. But Garrick calls the room the master bedroom.
Yes, master.
It is for him. He will be master of his wives that will be in the twin beds down the hall until he summons the one he wants to his master room. They don't even get their own quarters. They share. There's so much wrong with this. So much wrong with this.
He is the worst.
He's the worst. We're going to start a new drinking game. Take a shot every time I say he's the worst. I need to come up with another phrase for Nick and Garrick when I get frustrated, other than he's the worst. Our icks need another phrase. I will increase my vocabulary in my phrase. She could make t-shirts. He's the worst. No, I don't want a t-shirt that's going to remind me of the icks. So they're showing the master room, and the girls go in first, and Garrick is kind of back there with Danielle's dad, and they're explaining, oh, this is Garrick's room. It's not even just the master room. It's Garrick's room. It's the master room, and it's Garrick's room. And Garrick is smiling like a Cheshire cat and looks over at Danielle's father. It was one of those ick moments. Garrick the Ick holds true to his name. He's all proud of his beautiful master bedroom and is smiling over at Danielle's father. Oh, I wish her parents wouldn't be so passive. I don't want to say anything negative about the parents. They really seem like extremely sweet people, but they're so passive. I mean, you can see why Danielle is the way she is. I think the brother, Sam, broke away because he married Samantha, who has an opinion. She, too, is pretty quiet in general, but I think he's kind of found his voice a little bit since marrying her because she will speak up at times. Hallelujah, Samantha. All right, I have written in my notes, Danny is very pregnant. Months have gone by. So this is the first time I've really, because she had like a big coat on and all that. It's the first time we've really seen her belly. I mean, she looks like she's, 7 months pregnant? Maybe? I mean, it's been a long time. She's a tiny girl, so maybe she shows sooner. Anyway, a lot of time has passed since they left Brazil. So this isn't an immediate jump right into it with 2 feet situation. Who knows how many months it was that they were talking to each other, et cetera, et cetera. But We haven't seen any other trips during this period of time. That's the interesting part. They were planning on coming back in 4 to 6 weeks with the boys. Seems like they would have filmed that. Or if TLC wouldn't have gone, they would have at least self-filmed and shared that with TLC for, B-roll footage or just continuing the storyline. I don't think they've been back. That's significant. They didn't address that on the show. Well, during this month's period of time, maybe Natalia is getting a little sassy because they're not coming down to visit her anymore. Could be. We do know that she's not happy about this situation, however, and Garrick, he talks about it. He gives his response to the fact that Natalia is not happy with this new potential sister wife.
This is nice. Yeah.
I think if Natalia was to work through some of her problems, her and Miriam would get along real well. And if it gets real serious with Miriam and we know she should be in the family, well, there's just no choice. She's going to have to face things,
That's right. Natalia needs to buck up and just accept this other woman that she's never met. Come on, Natalia, what's wrong with you? Oh, Garrick, it's always the women's fault. Always.
Women.
So at one point in the house, Miriam is not in the kitchen. Garrick and Danny are there together. She must have been putting her stuff in the room or whatnot. Danny says to Garrick, how are you? And he says, it makes me happy, with a smile. And Danny says, good.
How are you feeling?
Good.
Yeah. Okay.
She's so proud and pleased that she made this connection with this girl and brought her to Garrick. I mean, come on, people. There's no words, right? It's so sad. It's like a slayed animal given to the master. Look what I got for you, sir. It appears that in the Merrifield family, it is not happy wife, happy life. It's the opposite. It's happy Garrick, happy Garrick. I don't even think Danny's going to be happy if this works out. She's all happy right now because she thinks she's sticking it to Natalia. And she's happy because she likes to make him happy. But the minute the two of them start looking lovey-dovey in love and spending time without her and sleeping together, I don't know. We'll see. That evening, Danielle has her brother Sam and his wife Samantha over. And, they're getting together. I think they were going to have dinner. We just saw them all sitting at the kitchen counter chatting. So Sam and Samantha show up with their daughter and their son, which were cute. It was good to see. We never see or hear of them, which is fine. I understand. And then they disappeared. They just came in and said hello to everybody, and they probably went to play with the boys. Right before they get there, Danny and Garrick are talking about, how it's going to go. And Garrick's a little apprehensive because he said, they kind of have opinions. God forbid. They point out that, I think it was Danny who said that they're like good cop, bad cop. And he's like, no, they're just bad cops. Then Garrick says, your parents are the good cops. Mm-hmm. Just like Cody Brown would say, your parents, they respect me. Your parents, they're loyal to me. Mm-hmm. Your parents don't talk back. Your parents don't share their opinions. That's how Garrick likes it. Yet, according to Garrick and the talking head, he is excited to have Sam and Samantha over to get their opinions on Miriam. He has never wanted their opinions in the past. And when they gave it, he has never listened to their opinions. And yet he says he wants their opinions. I mean, the show needs more than just Garrick and Danny. So Garrick is going to have to listen to people who might not think the same as him. Although we know from the past that Sam and Samantha have a tendency to have opinions and share all their opinions in their talking head interviews. And they completely water it down for the two of them. They will still show dissension and disagreements with some of their decisions, but they do it in a sweet, loving way. Well, we got to remember, Sam is a product of mom and dad. I'll say nothing to anybody or share my opinion. It's okay if you, the husband of my wife, will take on 4 additional wives. I'm cool with that. So that's who raised Danny and Sam. Can't expect a whole lot of dissension to come out of them. Samantha shares a little bit more. But Samantha has to watch her place. She's the in-law here. It's not her place to really speak up. It's Sam's place to. So I feel like the little bit that Sam shares is because Samantha has shared with him back at home, this is crazy and you need to let her know. You are going to watch your sister be hurt again. Like, it's those kind of things. So, they'll say like, we just don't want to see you hurt. I think the conversations go very differently under the roof and behind closed doors of Sam and Samantha's house. So Sam shares his reservations, and I was so pleased. Let's watch.
Because it seems like he's doing the same thing over again. I hope he really tries to get to know her better and looks out for red flags more and doesn't just start giving her money.
Couldn't say it better myself. So Sam comes out and asks Miriam, so were you looking for polygamy when you came across Garrick and Danny? Or were you looking for a friendship? Or, because they know she slid into his DMs. It wasn't sort of like I'm on a polygamous dating website. It's like, what were you looking for? What was your intent? Her answer was, I was looking for whatever God is going to give me. Liar. Dismissed. Next. Wrong answer. Come on, be honest. You were looking to join a polygamous relationship, one specifically by people who are on a highly rated television show. Now, I get she's not going to say all that, but she could at least say, yes, I was looking into a polygamous relationship. This is the huge red flag number 2. Red flag number 1, she slides into their DMs. Red flag number 2, she can't even admit why she did it. I was looking for whatever God was going to give me. Well, no, you went onto the website and slid into her DMs. You were looking for whatever God was going to give you. No, that's when you sit back and you see how the universe and God works and how things fall in place. That's waiting on God to see what he was going to do for you. When you intentionally go to one specific person, slide into their DMs and say, I'm interested in meeting the two of you, that's you wanting something in particular. Oh my goodness. How these people use flowery words and words that really mean nothing, and nobody ever challenges. Oh, okay. I mean, it's Garrick talk. She's just spitting Garrick's lines right back at him. Well, whatever God wants.
You're doing the Lord's work.
I wrote on my paper here, this lie proves that she just wants fame. Yep. And then we get to probably the most significant part. And it ends kind of dramatically, so I didn't want to end the episode on that because I feel like every episode I ends sad. These are all sad stories. It's hard to pick which one to put at the end. But I just feel like we're constantly leaving it with like, oh, okay.
That's so sad.
So here is where we have Sam say, all right, Miriam, how do you feel about the fact that you're Muslim and they're Christians? Like, how does that work? What are your feelings? What would your family feel if, like, you converted? Miriam takes a beat, swallows, and says, I have no plans of converting. Huge red flag number 3. Could we have not worked through some of these red flags prior to having her come? I'm sure they paid for her to come as well. Oh my goodness, this is never going to work out. According to Garrick and Danny, it is their faith that drew them to polygamy, which is weird because Christians don't believe in polygamy. But they pick and choose things out of the Bible and twist it around. The point being, they follow the Christian Bible and are so religious about it that they're getting talks and spoken to from God.
You must be very special.
And will choose to live a life that is hurtful and painful to Danny because they believe so strongly in this faith.
God spoke to me. I must obey.
Because Danny doesn't want to go against what God is saying. I mean, if any of us really believed God told you this, I mean, who's going to mess with God, right? So it's like, oh, okay. And Danny believes it.
I don't know why.
The Merrifields go from smiles on their faces to concern. And Garrick, with his wide eyes acting so dumb, is playing the card of, yeah, like, she asked me before if I looked into Islam or Muslim, and I haven't. I mean, I have no idea. So you're just going to let it go further until you realize that these two don't go hand in hand? They're very different faiths. It's not like we're looking at Catholicism and Lutheran, or even Judaism and Christianity, of which Christianity believes in Judaism. They completely embrace everything. Judaism is the first 5 books of the Bible that Christians believe in. Jewish people just don't believe in the rest of it. But we're talking about the Quran and Allah. Very different. I mean, good stuff. A lot of them share some of the same principles: love, peace, mercy. I think the Quran is really big on mercy. Good stuff. I just don't see how Garrick, who's such a strong believer in his faith, is going to say it's okay that she's not. Because there is a Bible verse that says you should not be unequally yoked in your marriage. But Garrick picks and chooses which Bible verses he follows anyway, so maybe in his world it's okay. He might possibly get another revelation in the garage. Just find it interesting that God would tell him to marry somebody who doesn't believe in him. All right? All right. How does Garrick get around that information?
I tell you, I gotta plead ignorance on this.
How long is he going to be able to plead ignorance and stupidity? This is what he says. I don't know about Islam. I should look into it. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. It's insane to me that he has so little regard for the women he's trying to marry. He does not look into their past. He does not try to learn the language that they're speaking. He is not learning about their faith. That's a big part of their lives. And apparently, Miriam even confronted him and said, what do you know about it? Have you looked into it? And he's like, no, I haven't looked into it. And he still hasn't. And he brought her there. Now, you would think that she's thinking the same thing. Okay, I believe in Allah. I'm Muslim. This isn't going to work out with this crazy Christian man who's hearing from his God. And that goes back to the fact that I'm convinced Miriam is just there for clicks and likes, subscribers, and a boost in her social media profile. Samantha, in classic form, says to Miriam and to them that she has a good feeling about Miriam. And then we cut to the talking head where she says, oh, this could be problems. I mean, you have to wait until it comes out for the Merrifields to watch it on film to really know what the brother and sister-in-law feel about them. It's kind of crazy. All right, I just realized, unless this is another day, I just realized that they did stop by just to visit. They weren't there to eat because later in the day, Danny and Miriam go out to eat together, which when it first opened up, I thought, whoa, all right. Garrick's allowing the two of them to get to know each other. Has he learned from the past that this is something he needs to do? He's been very opposed to the women talking to each other. Like, he is in control all the time, and he is there to interpret what the other one said if there's any miscommunication, just to make it clear. To put the other wife in her place. Basically, that means putting Danny in her place to make sure everything goes smoothly so we can get this new wife in. But then we learn Garrick had a migraine. Garrick was supposed to go. He couldn't go. He had a migraine. So the two of them went. And then later in the day, Garrick was going to go out with her. Now, maybe that's on the next episode. Maybe TLC couldn't stay that late. So they're like, let's film something. And he can just go on his date later. I don't know. We'll see next episode. So the girls go on their date. And sure enough, Danny points out, this is the first time I have really gone out to get to know a potential sister wife. Yes, We were saying this with Natalia. It didn't even cross my mind with Roberta, but with Natalia, especially with the way Garrick would get like really upset when Natalia wanted to talk to Danny by herself. Garrick let it happen for a couple minutes and then he just slid right in there and sat down. It's like, what you talking about? Yeah, he doesn't like that. As they're having a conversation, which is going fine, like a normal conversation, Danny mentions that there's not going to be a baby shower because she basically does not have a lot of friends. And I'm thinking, well, what about your church you attend? I would think that's where she would have gotten her friends from anyway. Does nobody at the church like you? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm starting to think this pastor that Garrick refers to, who gives him advice on polygamy, is not a pastor of a church that they attend. They may not even attend any church, especially since being on this show. So this pastor that he's talking to is probably like a pastor of the AUB or some other fundamental sect. He doesn't know anything about Muslims or Islam. So that's not the pastor. So it must be a pastor of another faith that believes in polygamy, and that is the fundamentalist sect of Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. Right? Does it make sense any other way? Am I crazy? I was thinking he's talking to a pastor in Utah or Idaho, but it could be. There are other states that have different sects. I know down in Texas there's some, and Washington there's some. Colorado could be too. Do y'all know anything I don't know? This pastor of his, I don't think is a pastor of a church he's attending. I might be wrong, because if we go back, Danny did say at one point that they knew other people that were doing this in their faith, and they'd run into other people. Yeah, but if you run into people, that would mean that your church isn't preaching it. Yeah, that's probably why she doesn't have any friends. They probably left their church because their church is like, this isn't right. And they didn't want to hear it. They probably, in all fairness, left the church before they even knew they were looking into polygamy. But poor Danny, she's on an island by herself. It's kind of sad. All she's got is mom, dad, Sam, and Sam. Miriam then asks a question of Danny, and it is, would you give up pork for me? Muslims don't eat pork. Right away, Danny's like, I love bacon. I wonder if something she ordered had bacon on it. I wonder if that's where it came from. I don't know. But Miriam's like, would you do it for me? Would you give up pork for me? And Danny's just like stuck. She's like, oh my gosh, but I love pork. I love bacon.
Bacon!
Let me tell you first, I love me some bacon. A crisp piece of bacon, probably in my top 5 favorite foods. But I don't eat it that much. There's too much bad fat in it. There's too many calories in it. It's a special treat. I mean, it's probably been 6 months since I've had a piece of bacon. So if somebody asked me that, I could say yes. I think Danny eats bacon more often than that. She really struggled with this. She left it at, it's something I'm willing to consider. Oh my goodness, which basically means no, but if we're at the point that you're not going to walk down the aisle and this is going to be the end of this whole thing, then all right, I'll do it. Miriam, in regards to the dinner she's having later on with Garrick, says to Danny, I'm a little nervous about this dinner tonight. She said, you guys do move a little bit fast. And she shares that you told me that you loved me after just a month. That's crazy. Danny said she loved her in a month? All right. I've never had a friend that I've become that close with that I say I love you to in a month. But Danny doesn't have any friends, so maybe she did love her. Miriam shares, I guard my heart and move slowly. Danny seems shocked by it. Not as shocked as Garrick's going to be. This is Miriam's out. This is Miriam's opportunity to get on television but not have to sleep with Garrick. Let's just make this engagement go on for a long time. I'll kiss him, that's fine, whatever. But no more than that. And what struck me as funny in this point is the fact that Danny said that she's just shocked and she loves how great the conversation between them flows compared to the other sister wives. She speaks English. Of course the conversation's gonna flow better. Well, she's surprised. She's interpreting it as this is a woman who's meant to be in our family. I will say she is a better match than somebody who doesn't speak English at all and doesn't live in your country. So, I mean, I can't argue with that. All right, what was the next family? That was a lot. I didn't realize how much they were in this episode. All right, next family that was featured was the Ryan family. They're back. Justin is going out to dinner with Yari this evening. He says that they have been dating a while. No idea what that means in terms of a real timeline. Because we have learned even if one family is 7 months later, the other one could be the next day. They put no timestamps, dates, months, nothing on the show. It's so confusing. It's very TLC. And this is what Justin says.
I feel like I need to be honest and let her know, we feel like things are going really slow. We're looking for somebody that is ready to make a commitment right now because we learned from our last relationship, don't get too emotionally involved in someone when they're on the fence.
I say true. Don't get too emotionally involved when somebody's on the fence. However, I say don't get so emotionally involved so quickly. Grow up, develop some self-control, and get to know the girl. Why must Yari commit now? Because you can't control yourself. I'm telling you, forced commitments never work. Not in polygamy, not in monogamy. Relationships 101. Well, here's his reason why. Justin says, we are not going to wait months and months and years. We are not going to be around forever. The dude is only 45. He makes it sound like he's 85.
Time's almost out as it is.
He's only 45 years old. He's got 40 more years. He's basically halfway through his life. I'm going to be around forever. I need her to make a commitment now. Can't wait a month.
And I told you I can't control myself.
I mean, I know I've been a monogamist at least 25 years, but now that we're looking into polygamy, it needs to happen now. Now. So they're sitting and eating, and I have to say, Justin, he's as bad of a communicator as Garrick is. Like, it is so uncomfortable. I do not know what Yari sees in him other than I think she's just physically attracted to him and she knows he has a lot of money. That's what I think. Not only can he not communicate well, but this man cannot make eye contact with Yari. He keeps staring up to the right at the ceiling while he's talking. Or he'll look at the food and then look away. It's so weird. Go back and watch it. He just occasionally looks over at her when he's talking. But there's other times he's talking, and when it's silent, he's definitely not looking at her. Like, there's no connection. None. Oh, wait. There is a connection. He thinks she's hot. Oh my gosh. It's like he and Becky never emotionally matured during all these years of their marriage. They're still stuck at 16 and 19 in terms of emotional maturity. So here's an example of a great conversation between them. Justin says, "Are you ready for a trip?" Yari says, "Where?" He says, "Italy." She says, "Take me." Pause. He says, "Well, we're going to Florida this winter if you want to go." So, is he going to Italy? He said, "Are you ready for a trip?" And then he says, was he planning on going to Italy with Becky? But then why would he say to her, "Are you ready for a trip?" Or did he just throw out Italy as just a random place because the cameras are on? Or to make himself look good? But then he doesn't want to be held to it, so all of a sudden he switched it to Florida. I don't know. It's conversation. Okay, I'm going to read it again straight. Ready for a trip? Where? Italy. Take me. Well, we're going to Florida this winter if you want to go. So to that, Yari says, "With Becky?" And he says, "Mm-hmm." Looking at his food, of course. "Mm-hmm." Yari rolls her eyes. Yeah, this isn't going to go well. She's not going to be around too long. She says, well, most of your free time is your family, as it should be. Do you know what he says? One of the dumbest lines I ever heard. This is his response to the fact that all his free time has been with his family, and basically not with hers, what she's saying.
Wait for it.
He said, my free time is my work, and then I get home and I go to sleep. It's the opposite of free time. Your work is not your free time. That's your work. Your free time is when you have nothing else to do. Who do you hang out with? Who do you spend your extra time with outside of your obligations? Outside of work and sleeping is your free time. My free time is my work, and then I get home and I go to sleep. This man is dumb as a box of rocks. She then says, I think Becky is your priority, not me. And he says, well, are you interested in joining my family with Becky? Because then I'll make a commitment and spend more time. And she says, if you make a commitment to just me. Huge statement, right? You know what Justin says? He goes, say what? He was eating and looking somewhere else.
If there is the point, like, to be just with me, you can do that.
Do what?
This is like all about making a commitment to my family. Will you join my family? Like the most important part of why they're together and what his intent was for this thing. And he's too busy chomping down on nachos. But Yari responds with, I want my man only to me.
That was not the plan.
In her talking head, she says, I want more time with him because I want to get to know him outside of Becky. Justin, of course, says that she can take her time, but not too long. And Yari responds with, I don't like when somebody hurries me. Yari adds, I am open-minded, but I need more time.
How much longer do you want to wait?
Justin tells her he understands. It's the end of the date. He puts her in the Uber. Off she goes. And then he drops this bomb.
I'm not in a rush to get a commitment from Yari. We're more in a rush to get a commitment from somebody. It doesn't have to be Yari. She's stated pretty clearly that she doesn't want to rush. So we're going to keep seeking, hoping to come up with the one.
I just want somebody. I mean, it doesn't have to be Yari. She's too much work. Just give me somebody. I mean, can't deal with her time constraints. This is not going to work out. Let's go. Next.
I'm ready to move on. Oh well. Plan B.
Basically, she doesn't want to rush. So we are going to continue seeking other wives until we find somebody with less depth, less standards, and will jump in without using her brain and thinking so much. Good luck with that, Justin. I think we saw the end of Yari. Oh my goodness, this video is going to be so long. I have so many more notes than I usually do. All right. We are on our last family, the Davis family. So here we have the Davis family. They are getting ready for Jasmine to come visit. I'm going to try to make this a little bit quick so this doesn't keep going on and on. Not to mention I have to log on in 10 minutes for my work. Okay. So they are getting ready for Jasmine to come visit. In the couch interview, Nick and the girls all seem excited. Well, the two girls seem excited. Danny, not smiling. And not really saying much either. She's not having it. And she shares in front of Nick and the other two sister wives that she's just not really sure about this girl. She's just not really sure about getting a new wife right now. So Jasmine arrives. They all sit down outside. They give Jasmine a drink and specifically state, here's your non-alcoholic drink. I don't know why they specifically had to say, here's your non-alcoholic drink. They all had like white wine, and then here was like something that looked like a smoothie that they gave her. But maybe she's now sober and proud of it and knows this is going to be broadcast nationally, and she doesn't want any backlash in terms of drinking. We did think in that last episode when Nick was drinking the wine that it looked like she just had a glass of water that she was drinking. So I appreciate a clear head. Right off the bat, asks her if she brought her bathing suit because they want to go in the hot tub later on. She did. And you know we've got that really big bed in our room, so You are welcome to join us there, but if not, there's other beds in the house. Jasmine says she will do the bed. Okay. Nick shares, that's exciting. You're going to get a lot of cuddles.
Say what?
A lot of cuddles. I hope just from Nick. It just seems, the whole one bed thing just seems odd. I don't know. I have suspicions that maybe there's a little bit more that's going on, that they're keeping on the down low because maybe they are embarrassed by it or their families don't know about it. I don't know. It just seems like there might be a little bit more, but who knows? Odd, they're all in one big bed. And the fact she said yes right away, I mean, Ashley did specifically say, hey, we'd like you to stay here, but we have other beds. Take the other bed. Whatever happened to you have to access my mind before my body? The date ended and then he still doesn't have access to your mind. Although in the hot tub, she tries to get access to all of their minds. Well, during this whole bed talk, we can see Danielle clearly uncomfortable. But she's doing her head nod she does a more aggressive head nod with a forced smile when she knows she's supposed to be agreeing. Like she did with Nick the other night. It's so sad. The producers ask Nick and April in a couch interview, what are the rules for dating in your house? And Nick just kind of laughs. April says there are no rules. That's the rule. But Nick did share that they all agreed that he is not going to be having sex this weekend with Jasmine. I think Jasmine is not going to be having sex with you either, so that's great. We're all on the same page. In Jasmine's interview, I just found it really funny the way she was wording things. She said that spending the night is not a big deal for most people. I'm like, what? I'm showing my Gen X age here. I think spending the nights, it's a big deal unless you were 22 to 24 and you were in college and you were making a lot of dumb decisions and your brain hadn't been fully developed yet and you're making all those huge mistakes that people make in life. That's when it's not big. It's still kind of a big deal then, but it happens a lot more then. As grown adults, it's a big deal. If you're going to go spend you have a child at home. This is a big deal. According to Jasmine, she thinks it's not a big deal for most people. You know, it would be for her. Yeah, okay. It's a big deal for everyone. Or it should be. So we can tell that Nick is now stoked about hot tub time. In the hot tub, Jen says, let's play a game. Jasmine says, okay, I have a game. What I'm going to do is throw out a word, and you have to tell me what your favorite of it is. But it has to be a deep answer, not superficial. And so they said, okay, you start. And she said, okay, the first question is, what is your favorite color? And they're all like, okay. And she said, my favorite color is blue. I love it in every form. I have ever met blue in my life. A deep blue, like the depths of the ocean, becomes a mystery. The rest of them, all the Davises are like, okay. April's like, okay, I'll go next. I like red. Ruby is my birthstone. It just attracts me. Crickets. Maybe it's a power color for me.
Yeah, I can get deep.
Nick, Jen, and Danielle then are like, a power color. Yeah. Good answer. You got it. That's it. See, we can be deep too. It's a power color. That's a deep answer. Jasmine seemed none too impressed. So the game goes on. Awkward questions, awkward answers. Deep Jasmine, shallow everyone else.
Jesus, you're intense.
And the talking couch interviews, they all admit, it wasn't a fun game. They don't like being deep. When you're in a hot tub, it should just be like hang out, have fun, and be touchy.
All I'm hearing is hot tub, hot tub.
At one point in the hot tub, after one of the questions, Nick is sitting by April and he gives her a kiss. He's kind of sitting between her legs. He leans over to give a kiss to Jasmine. And clearly she turns her head, so he goes to kiss her on the cheek and she's like,
Yes.
night, ladies, gents.
Yeah, and it's Nick's rule that there's not going to be any banging happening this evening. She don't really think she wants a kiss. She's not into it. She's probably realizing how superficial they all are, and she's like, this isn't going to work. At the very end, Nick asks Danielle to stay back. He wants to talk to her while everyone gets out of the hot tub. And he tells the camera that he's having her stay back because he wants to make sure she is ready to take on a wife for herself in this situation, because that's the rules of their family. That's how it's going to go. And yet, they're in the hot tub and he's just kind of doing the flowery talk, and I know you had a difficult time, blah, 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 blah. And his question was very different. His question was, are you still okay with this? That's very broad, non-specific, not the same as, are you ready to marry her? We'll see if next episode he actually does ask the question about the marriage, because I am sure that that is a big part of what's keeping Danielle going, not so sure about this, not so sure about her, I don't know. I mean, you're altering your life if you're going to marry somebody. All right, maybe we'll get more information next time. That's the end of the episode. It was pretty good, and I've got 1 minute before I have to log into my class. Look at that. We did it. All right, see you next week with the next update. This was a pretty good episode. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Take care. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below for me. Bye, everybody.